All right, thank you everybody for taking the time. My name is Kais. I'm with dumpsters.com. We're actually out of Westlake, Ohio, a suburb of Cleveland. And so I'm here with a couple of colleagues. I'll let them briefly introduce themselves.
I'm Mike Brackman. I just ran up the stairs, so I'm a little catching my breath, but I'm the partnership manager for the Midwest. So I manage all of our hauling relationships from Ohio all the way over to the Dakotas.
Chris Kitkowski, also from Cleveland, Ohio. I am the Northeast Territory Manager for our partnerships at dumpsters.com.
So we're, essentially we're a, obviously a broker, right? So in kind of like the waste industry, and we do a little bit more than just dumpster, right? Like roll-off dumpsters, although that's kind of like the core of our business. We also do portable sanitation, we do storage containers, fencing, kind of like the whole suite of site services. And obviously in doing so, right, like, so we rely on a, network of haulers like yourselves, right, like to do the work all across the country. So we cover, coast to coast. And so, really, I think the sort of kind of crux of our business is really kind of our sales and marketing and customer service practice, right? Like, so what we do is, we go out and find customers, right? Like, and those customers range from residential homeowners all the way to, big construction companies, right? Like, so you'll, hear names like Turner Construction, Whiting Turners, et cetera. And so again, in essence, right, like, so finding kind of like that demand and those leads and those customers, and then ultimately kind of like that, those orders and services ultimately get fulfilled by hauling partners like yourselves, right?
I think one of the things that makes us different from some of the brokers that you might be familiar with is that we actually have our own hauling operation in Cleveland. So we've got 22 trucks, 1,200 dumpsters. So we're not just a broker. We actually understand the industry. We understand your daily headaches. And we're doing our best to eliminate that when it comes to working with brokers.
Yeah. And so why a broker, right? So, I mean, I think, obviously, I think a handful of reasons, right? Like, I mean, your first one being, again, kind of like we're an extension of your team, right? Like from, again, a sales and, marketing perspective, right? Like, so, we have a team of almost about 150 sales sort of kind of like reps, right? Like, and so those guys are out making phone calls, finding customers, qualifying them. And then ultimately kind of like, that is, very much a predictable revenue stream, right? Like, so at the scale that we operate in, we think sort of kind of like there again, it's a sort of kind of like stable revenue stream. And, for again, a lot of our hauling partners, we're effectively one of their biggest customers, right? Like in many scenarios. Everything around sort of customer communication, customer service, and all of that is handled by us. So once we acquire the customer, ultimately kind of like all the questions, all the sort of kind of like customer experience, customer service requests, and all of that will, kind of like funnel through us, right? Like, so you guys won't have to deal with any of that. And in general, right, like, so on Mike and Chris's side, so our sort of kind of like, hauling partnership team will be effectively from you guys' side, will have one person, a point of contact, right? Like, so you won't be having to deal with, tens or hundreds of customers, right? Like, so kind of like makes it a little bit easier from that perspective, right?
How many of you have had trouble collecting money from a customer? Yeah. So that's what we hear a lot when we're talking with haulers. The one thing that we do really well is we pay our bills. And somebody throws a tire in the box, somebody throws light bulbs, paint cans, we're going to pay you for that. And that's one of the biggest things that we can offer our hauling partners that have trouble with that, is that we will pay for that stuff. Yeah. And then we have to chase the customer down and collect it from them. But yeah, that's one of the biggest pain points that we hear on a daily basis, and we like to pride ourselves on making sure we're paying those bills.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, and then, I think the other thing to highlight is, we have, a relatively established technology and data team as well, right? Like to support the whole operation. And so really what that means is, kind of like these guys, Chris, Mike, kind of like their team, right? Like working with you guys, uncovering effectively untapped opportunities within your market, right? Like, so an example of that would say, let's say we're here in Nashville and kind of like, an area in this market is, seeing some growth, right? Like, I mean, those are the type of insights that you should expect from, your strategic partnership manager reaching out to you and saying, hey, like if we expanded the service area by, 5, 10 miles, right, outside of kind of like the typical radius maybe that you service, we believe we can kind of go out together and capture even more demand, right? So it's, here again, I mean, I think we like to sort of internally use the word partner, right? Like in kind of like partnership, right? Like, I mean, I think we're successful if obviously our haulers are successful, and we think it's a sort of kind of like a win-win, right? Like it's not a sort of kind of like one-way type dynamics, right? And so in any case, so that's that. From our side, again, there's the customer, there's the hauler, right? Like, and obviously both of those are required for sort of our business to exist. And so, we view sort of like hauling partnerships almost at the same level as a customer sort of like partnership, right? And so, based on that, questions, like Mike was saying, paying haulers, et cetera, are, very much at the top of kind of like what we do day in, day out. I mean, I think the other point that to mention is, this partnership is free, right? Like it doesn't, there is no cost per se associated with, working with us. There's kind of like an onboarding process, right? Like an mutual vetting that goes between the hauler and us. But then ultimately, once you're established, all you can expect is, to start to receive, orders from us. And the other thing to mention is, and kind of here again, we're here at a Docket Summit, is we've actually recently launched what we're calling this Docket integration, right? Like, and so what that means is, for you guys as a Docket user, right? Like, and so working with us as dumpsters.com as a broker. So let's say we sell a service that is to be fulfilled by one of you guys. That service will effectively appear in your Docket screen and your Docket workflow automatically, right? Like, and so the advantage of that versus, kind of like there again, some of the other brokers you might see out there is, no phone calls, no texts, no emails, kind of like no manual touches per se. This will, again, just sort of like appear in your screen and your workflow for sort of like your dispatch team, your customer service team to kind of like, schedule that service. And so really like the workflow is relatively simple, right? Like, so here again, we sell a service. It's to be delivered at a specific address. So you get kind of like all the specification for, the container size, the sort of like expected waste type, any specific delivery instructions and things like that. And so really kind of like from the hauler perspective within that Docket experience, all you have to do is, accept or deny the service, right? And then if you accept it from there, like we'll get all the typical sort of updates as you're fulfilling that service, right? Like, so we'll see it getting accepted. Once it's en route, we'll see sort of kind of like that update. Once the service is completed, we'll get that completion acknowledgement. And it's, from that standpoint, very much kind of touchless, lightweight, right? Like no emails, no phone calls, obviously barring sort of kind of like, any unforeseen circumstances, right? Like, I mean, we have a support line. And so if something is, outside of the norm, but kind of like call it like the 80% of the cases should in principle be, very sort of kind of like, low touch. And so that again, it's something we just launched with the Docket team here about a month ago. And, we've kind of like a little bit in the early phases. We have it live with a couple of kind of like hauling partners, and really so far so good. So we think, that's kind of like part of why we're here is, kind of like all the, obviously you guys as kind of like Docket users, would be, we think really great fit for our business and sort of our model.
How many people love getting phone calls all day, every day with ETA requests? Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah. We don't like reaching out for ETA requests either. So that's one of the things that, as this Docket integration has come to light and the team has put a lot of great work into it, we are very excited to eliminate a lot of those touch points that are a frustration for our hauling partners. So we have a number of hauling partners that we could share a success story. This particular partner is in Texas, and they started with 1 truck, 30 dumpsters. They partnered with us. We were able to stabilize revenue streams, send them quite a bit of work. 3 years later, they grew to, I believe it was 10 trucks. Yeah, 10 trucks, 300 dumpsters. I've been with the company for 7 years. This is just one of many examples that we could share. We worked with people with 1 truck, 6 dumpsters that ended up having 20 plus trucks in different cities around the country. But yeah, they obviously do a ton of work on their own. This is not just us doing it. We're just one small part of their success story.
Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you, Mike. And I mean, once again, right, like, I mean, I think from just to kind of like maybe help you guys understand a little bit like our business and all of that, a large portion of our business really is driven by kind of like our B2B customers, right? Like, and so these are, again, mid-sized to very large sort of kind of construction companies. They operate all across the country. And so, the odds of, kind of like us having, again, one of these large customers happening to, have work in, let's say, an area that you guys kind of like service, right? Like broadly speaking is, relatively, is relatively high. And so there again, kind of like, we believe we can kind of like help you guys grow. We believe we can, kind of like, again, be a pretty sort of sizable account and customer for you guys. And so yeah, so that's really kind of like, how, kind of like ultimately our business work.